Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are opening up what can only be described as a medical manual for the soul.
That is absolutely the best way to put it. We are diving deep into the South Indian tradition of Siddhar Astrology today.
And specifically, we're looking at this incredibly detailed, highly specialized framework that was designed to diagnose hidden structural blockages in human destiny.
Right, because we are talking about the Modukku Nakshatra method. And this is a system that doesn't just, try to predict the future. It actually identifies the exact mathematical point where your cosmic energy is stagnating.
Exactly. It finds the bottleneck, and more importantly, as you'll see later on, it tells you exactly how to fix it. It's not just a diagnosis, it's a full treatment plan.
Okay, let's dive into this. The big question, why do powerful charts still fail? Have you ever known someone who is just undeniably brilliant? Like, they are hardworking, they are highly capable, they do everything right, yet they inexplicably fail to achieve success in one very specific area of their life. Oh, absolutely, we all know someone like that. Or maybe we are that someone. Right. And in the broader practice of Vedic astrology, practitioners frequently encounter this exact paradox. They'll look at a birth chart that is ostensibly powerful on paper. We're talking exalted planets, fantastic planetary combinations, all the markers of success. Yet the person living that chart just keeps hitting an invisible wall. The promised astrological fruits just remain totally inaccessible to them. It's like they have a winning lottery ticket, but the redemption center is permanently closed. Why does that happen? That is exactly the question the Mudakku framework answers.
So here is our diagnostic journey for today. 1. The karmic bottleneck. 2. Calculating the cosmic obstruction. 3. Symptoms of planetary paralysis. 4. A clinical case looking at Indira Gandhi. And 5. Untying the karmic knot. Let's begin.
Section 1. The karmic bottleneck. Unseen forces of sabotage. To really understand this, we have to look through the lens of the Siddhar astrological tradition. In this framework, human existence is not viewed in a vacuum. It's not just an isolated temporal event that starts when you are born and ends when you die.
Right. It is seen as a continuation of the soul's vast journey across multiple incarnations. Which brings us to the word of the day, Modukku. This is a classical Tamil term, and it literally translates to paralysis, deadlock, or bottleneck.
It represents a highly localized energetic lock of unresolved negative karma. Think of it like a massive concrete dam built across a flowing river. The water wants to flow, the potential energy is there, but it is physically blocked.
Or honestly, think of it like a hidden rip current in the ocean. You know how when you get caught in a rip current, you're swimming with all your might toward the shore, but it is just pulling you backward? You're expending all this energy, doing all the right things, but you are completely halted. That is what a Modukku is.
It acts as a temporal delay. It actively denies you the rewards of your labor until that underlying karmic debt is consciously processed and rectified. It's not just bad luck. It's a specific, localized lock on your energy.
Now you might be wondering, where does this bottleneck actually come from? Because it's certainly not random. No, not at all. According to Vedic cosmology, these deep-seated karmic issues are intrinsically linked to the ego. Selfish, arrogant, or harmful actions in our past incarnations leave a very real imprint on the soul. And because the sun, or Surya, represents both the soul, the Atma, and the ego, its placement in your natal chart serves as the primary diagnostic anchor for this entire system. Right. The sun is the starting line. It's the diagnostic anchor for tracing exactly where the ego went wrong in the past, and consequently where you are energetically blocked in the present. It all starts with the sun.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how we move from philosophy to math. Section 2, Calculating the Cosmic Obstruction, the Esoteric Math.
Exactly, because this isn't just some abstract theory. It is a highly algorithmic calculation used to pinpoint the exact degree where your energy flow is obstructed. But to do this esoteric math, we first have to establish our measuring point.
And that measuring point is the Modukku Nakshatra. In Sanskrit, the word mula translates directly to root or foundation.
It's ruled by the south node, Ketu, and it symbolizes the galactic center itself. So think of mula as the fundamental origin point of all karmic entanglements.
Right, it's the root. The Modukku system uses mula as the ultimate cosmic fulcrum. It's the fixed point we use to weigh and measure where your chart's energetic stagnations actually lie.
Okay, so here is how that esoteric calculation actually works in practice. It's a three-step algorithmic process. First, you identify your starting star. This is simply the nakshatra or lunar mansion that was occupied by your sun at the exact moment of your birth.
Got it. Sun equals starting point.
Second, you count the number of nakshatras from that starting star all the way to Mula, which is nakshatra number 19. And you have to make sure to count inclusively.
Yes, inclusive counting is absolutely crucial here.
Finally, step 3. You take that exact number you just calculated and you project it forward. But you start this new count from the very next star after Mula, which is Purvashada, nakshatra number 20.
So you count forward that exact same distance, and the star you land on, that is your Modukku Nakshatra.
It's brilliant. Whichever zodiac sign houses that specific star becomes your paralyzed zone, and the planet ruling that sign becomes the lord of your obstruction. It literally translates a very dense philosophical concept of karma into a clear, precise cosmic algorithm. Which brings us to section 3, symptoms of planetary paralysis, the diagnosis. So, we found the planet. What actually happens when a planetary lord becomes your Mudakku? Well, when this happens, all the natural positive traits of that specific planet are paralyzed. They get severely distorted, causing intense frustration in very specific areas of your life.
Let's look at what Siddhar astrologers consider one of the most frustrating karmic blocks out there, the crisis of the analytical mind. This is what happens when Mercury is your Modukku.
Right, so a normal, healthy Mercury gives you a sharp intellect, flawless memory retention, and really articulate logic. You're quick, you're sharp. But a Modukku Mercury, it directly attacks your ability to express that intelligence when it counts.
It is devastating. You might study exhaustively for highly analytical, high-stakes exams. We're talking about sitting for your medical boards or the CPA exams. You know the material backward and forward, but the exact moment you sit down in that chair to take the test, your cognitive output completely fails.
You experience catastrophic memory loss. Severe performance anxiety kicks in, which is essentially a nervous system failure. The mind possesses all the knowledge, it's in there, but the nervous system simply fails to deliver it when called upon. Complete communication breakdown.
Now let's talk about Saturn, the agonizing weight of a Saturn Modukku.
Oh man, Saturn normally rules steady discipline, structural progress, and timely karmic rewards. You put in the work, you get the result. It's structural.
But when Saturn gets paralyzed by this bottleneck, it shatters the natural rhythm of progress. It brings that classic, agonizing astrological maxim of delay without denial to life in the most brutal way.
You will face profound professional blockages. Your career will just stagnate for years, and it doesn't matter how much backbreaking work you put in. You could be working 80-hour weeks, doing everything perfectly, and you still won't move up.
It acts as a rigid professional ceiling. It demands superhuman endurance and patience. You are literally forced to undergo rigorous, exhausting karmic testing before you ever see a single reward. The heavy mental burdens that come with this are just immense.
And then, a Modukku Jupiter is equally challenging, but it hits you in a completely different way.
Normally, Jupiter provides this wonderful safety net of protective grace. It gives you elder mentorship, it helps with wealth accumulation, and it brings joyful progeny, meaning children.
Right, it's the great benefic. But a karmic block here strips all of that natural safety away. You are forced to learn life's hardest lessons through entirely unguided experiences. You'll find you have absolutely zero support from mentors, teachers, or institutions. You are completely on your own.
Furthermore, even if you manage to hustle and earn a substantial income, the wealth just dissipates. It leaks out through unforeseen channels. Medical bills, sudden repairs, bad investments. The money just won't accumulate.
And tragically, a Modukku Jupiter also frequently manifests as profound sorrow or extreme ongoing difficulties regarding children and progeny. It takes away the things that usually bring deep joy and security.
And this brilliantly illustrates how it's not just the planet, but the location, the physical location. The specific house, or bhava, where this Modukku falls in your chart determines exactly where the paralysis strikes in your daily, circumstantial life.
Exactly. For instance, if the bottleneck falls in your first house, the lagna, your core identity and physical vitality are paralyzed. You'll face massive, inexplicable resistance, getting literally any personal venture off the ground. You just can't launch.
Or if it falls in the fourth house, the house of sukha, or foundational happiness, it attacks your foundational domestic peace. You're looking at unstable homes, relentless property disputes, crazy bureaucratic issues with real estate. Your sanctuary is compromised.
And if it lands in the 10th house, the house of karma and career, it places a firm lock on your professional growth. You will be the person working harder than everyone else in the office, but your leadership potential and public status are totally suppressed. You are invisible to the people who hand out promotions.
Let's bring this into the real world. Section 4. Clinical case on Indira Gandhi. History's Modukku.
To really grasp the magnitude of how this works, we need to put a historical figure on the astrological operating table. Let's look at the chart of India's first female prime minister, Indira Gandhi. This is fascinating because it shows how these unseen bottlenecks don't just affect personal lives, they can actually shape world history. Looking at her chart diagnostics, Gandhi had a Cancer ascendant. This gave her a highly sensitive yet incredibly resilient core identity. But notice her birth star. She was born under Pushya, which happens to be ruled by Saturn. And if we run that esoteric math we talked about earlier on her chart, the Modukku calculation for a Pushya birth star lands exactly on the Rohini Nakshatra. This makes her Modukku Lord Venus, specifically impacting the sign of Taurus. Her Saturn placement karmically destined her for a painfully slow rise to power, marked by exhausting struggles. And that Venus Modukku severely damaged her personal peace, guaranteeing immense domestic turbulence behind the scenes. Combined with some serious Rahu afflictions in her house of marriage and public image, her life was astrologically guaranteed to be intensely polarized and heavily obstructed at every turn.
Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds, because here is where the strategy comes in. Gandhi didn't just accept defeat, she broke through her massive astrological deadlocks by capitalizing on specific temporal windows.
In astrology, these temporal windows are called dashas. They are specific planetary periods where the Modukku influence might temporarily recede, allowing you to strike.
In 1966, she entered her Mercury dasha. Mercury is the planet of communication and intellect. During this window, she successfully shattered the political ceiling to become prime minister.
Then in 1971, under the period of Ketu, which is the planet of secret strategy and sudden action, she achieved a flawless tactical victory in the Bangladesh Liberation War.
But the most incredible part? In 1980, during the major dasha of Venus, which remember was her actual Modukku Lord, her greatest obstruction, she successfully returned to power. This indicates she had practically and strategically temporarily mastered her greatest karmic obstruction. She used timing to beat the bottleneck. Which brings us to the most important part of the explainer. Section 5. Untying the karmic knot. The treatment plan. The most empowering takeaway from the Siddhar tradition is that a Mudakku is just a diagnosis. That's it. It is a karmic knot requiring an active treatment plan, not a permanent fatalistic life sentence.
You can actually reduce the karmic resistance, and the treatment plan in this tradition often begins with spatial and temple remedies. You see, in the South Indian Siddhar framework, temples are not just passive places for devotion. They are highly specific, active, energetic vortexes. For severe afflictions, specific temples, like the Dharasuram Virabhadra temple, are prescribed. The energy there is believed to literally sever stagnant karmic ties. It breaks the lock. There are also precise mantras used to unblock planetary pathways. Let's say you have that frustrating Mercury Modukku we talked about earlier, where you blank out on exams. Chanting the Buddha mantra on Wednesdays is explicitly prescribed to clear out those jammed neuropathways.
Or if you are dealing with those fifth house cognitive and memory blocks, dedicating your focus and worship to Lord Dakshinamurthy is utilized to restore your cognitive access and bring back your clarity. It's a highly targeted spiritual prescription. But, and this is a huge but, spiritual remedies alone aren't enough. The Siddhar system dictates that they must be paired with real-world lifestyle architecture. You have to physically rewire your daily behavior to break the bottleneck.
Exactly. You can't just chant a mantra and change nothing else. If Mercury is your block, your nervous system is fragile. Therefore, you must strictly avoid multitasking. You have to drastically improve your sleep hygiene for neural recovery, and you must use short, focused study cycles.
If Saturn is the planet blocking you, you are being tested on structure. You must actively cultivate extreme, rigorous punctuality and unyielding endurance in your daily tasks. You cannot cut corners.
And if it's Mars paralyzing your executive action and drive, you are prescribed intense physical or martial exercise, particularly on Tuesdays. You have to physically, forcibly reignite your dormant kinetic energy through sweat and exertion. The spiritual dictates the physical.
So the crucial point we want you to take away is this: identifying the block is merely the very first step.
What the Modukku framework does is it takes predictive astrology, which can sometimes feel very doomed and predetermined, and completely transforms it into a therapeutic framework for spiritual and practical course correction. It stops being about predicting unavoidable, destined events. Instead, it starts being about identifying your specific structural weaknesses. And by addressing those weaknesses directly, through precise timing, behavioral discipline, and focused spiritual remedies, you can actually transform your greatest, most frustrating obstruction into the exact site of your greatest triumph. Just like we saw with Indira Gandhi.
Which leaves us with this final question to consider as you look back at your own recurring struggles.
Where is the karmic bottleneck in your life? What is that invisible wall that you keep hitting over and over again? And now that you know the structural framework behind it, are you ready to break it?